Hey guys, we got Rick Novak. Over here we played the Ultimate Time Wizard. He made top 8 in back-to-back YCS Indies using the same deck, which we got over here laid out for y'all. Hero Beat. All right, well, how are you feeling right now?
I feel good. I mean, I just lost to Frazier, which kind of sucks, but overall it was a good run. I'm happy I topped. I think I got second last year here with basically the same exact deck, and I wanted to top again at least. I wanted to win the whole thing, win the JD, but it is what it is. There was a lot of good players, so just getting the top 8 is a nice accomplishment. I'm happy with everything. So overall, I had a really nice time. I mean, the Ultimate Time Wizards are a great event. If you haven't played one, I would seriously recommend it. Obviously, it's high-level competitive, but everyone has a good time. Everyone is. It's not as kind of sweaty and uptight as kind of the main tournament. So if you haven't played one and you have an interest in Edison or any sort of older formats, I definitely would recommend it because it's a really good time. I mean, there was a 200 players at this one, I think 198. So it got a very good turnout. It was a lot, like I said, a lot of really good players cut to top 8. So it was really hard tournament to top. You basically had to go X1-1 at the very worst to get in. So overall, it was a good experience, and yeah, we can just get into the deck, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna go through the deck really quick, and then we got some questions for him afterwards. We won't spend too much time on the deck because I'm sure you could agree it's pretty standard.
It's really streamlined, pretty standard. I mean, you got this hero package. I think this is pretty standard at this point with just the one ocean. He kind of underperformed. Usually this card's a little bit better for me. He kind of underperformed this weekend, but you can't really cut him. He's the hero and the water, so it fuels Miracle, and if you resolve him to pounce back Stratos, you generally win. It's really powerful, so that's fine. Got this same Diva package with the double Gilman. This guy, actually, I didn't draw him as much as I usually do this weekend, which was nice. Maybe that's why I did well. I just think that you need to. You have to have this card be a 1-card bomb, honestly. So if you draw one, it's this deck, you don't want to ever go Diva for Diva generally. So you want to be able to Diva into Gilman, and if you draw this, it makes this almost dead. So I think 2 is correct, even if it is the worst card you can possibly draw. Double Honest, of course. I mean, I just had a guy ask me if I ever would consider cutting this card, and it is kind of. I actually have considered cutting it potentially, because I mean, as that guy asked, it makes the deck really Alias centric, but you're basically already playing Alias deck anyway. And this guy this stole so many games this weekend. It's you really can't play around it. I mean, certain Blackwings, so maybe a little bit with Galoot, depending on how they do things, but you really can't play around this card. You have to play into it, and you're playing a beatdown an aggro deck, so you want end games quicker, and this card helps with that. And Gores, I just would never cut this card. I think this card is too. It makes your whole kind of position in the game much safer, because I mean you have so much interaction with Spark and all the traps and everything that you get your opponent to trade unfavorably into that, but then they will eventually have to break your board in some way, and then you just drop Gores. In a game that you never drop Gores, you probably are winning that game anyway if you have it. So I just think this card's too good. 3 Upstart. This is a different. So my list last year had Mole in the main deck, and then Starlight Road and Brain Control in the main deck. I cut those just for the 3 Upstarts, and I just think this is it ups the consistency of the deck too much. You want to play 37. So much of your stuff is kind of combo in a way. I mean, it's 2-card combos. You need to see the Alias and stuff. So you want to be able to kind of thin your deck out and just be up that consistency and everything. So definitely wouldn't cut these. Triple of the best spell card in this format, to be honest, other than maybe Brain Control, but this card is just so insane. Absolute Zero is just a completely cracked, ludicrous
Speaking
card.
Of Brain Control, I don't see it down here. Are we?
Yeah, no Brain Control. The only way you really can convert Brain Control is with Diva. Yep. Or I mean, you can do it with game. You can attack for gain with it. That's probably the other reason you want to do it. But I just would rather be on the upstarts and everything, and just play my game, kind of, so to speak. So no Brain Control. 3 Spark, of course. Yeah, it can be dead, but it's the best removal, honestly, in Edison almost. 3 of these. I think three e-call is a little too much. But yeah, you gotta see monsters. So those.
2 e-call.
Yeah, the future. Yeah, this card is kind of mid in this deck, to be honest, but it fuels Miracle and Hero Blast immediately. So, and also, generally speaking, if they have to obviously out this in some way.
And then down an absolute zero.
Yeah, and then if they out this, like they're not hitting my back row with removal or anything like that. So it is nice. And then Storm and MST, of course. Traps still on the 3D prison. You want to be able to remove stuff. I mean, you want protection for your guys. This is really good to get rid of big monsters. It's really good against like stuff like zombies to get rid of the recruiters, fairies, something like stuff like that. It's really good against Machina Fortress. I think playing, I've considered cutting this to 2 for like maybe a Dust Tornado or something of that nature. But it's just, this card is just, in my opinion, makes me feel too protected, too safe. I can't cut it. 2 Bottomless. It's just very good against, basically everything. I mean, I shouldn't say that, because there are definitely some matchups where I would side one out, or it is kind of mid, so to speak. But it's still one of the best like generic trap cards you can play, so there's nothing really better you can do. 2 Hero Blast. Very good if it works. I mean, it's obviously it can be dead sometimes. This deck has that issue. You are playing Alias deck, but when you get like Alias, Spark, and Hero Blast in combination with each other in your hand, you have just such sufficient removal that most decks really cannot deal with it in a good way. Solemn, of course. You have to like commit cards to the board in this deck, so I think this card is necessary. Mirror Torrential, the 2 best traps in my opinion. Compulse, still on the 1 Compulse. I just like this as like a tech pick. It gives you some flexibility, just to dodge like Brain Control, Soul Exchange, if you're playing against like Frogs, Econ, stuff like that. And it's really good against Bayou or any really deck that's Synchros. It's really good against Absolute Zero. I just really like this card as a 1-of in this format. And most decks I play, I always play 1. And then Dust Shoot, because it's like, a win button almost. It's very, very powerful. Gives you perfect info. So it can be dead, obviously, but it's just so powerful when you resolve it that it's really hard for me to actually consider cutting it from the deck. Extra 3-0, of course. Gaia, I made this once for a game shot this weekend, but you kind of have to play it. Chimera Tech, I never made it, but again, you kind of have to play it. Gashilnadon is a card I added recently, just because there'd be times where it would come up against like the Amaryllis deck where they would have like Titanial Amaryllis or something like that, and I'd have like Diva Miracle, and I wanted to be able to go like this and 0, and then 0's at 3,000. You could run over Titanial, run over Amaryllis. So I never made it this weekend, but I have made it online and in testing and stuff. So I'd keep it in for now. I got double of these 2 guys. I've always been on the double Android because it's the one you probably make the most. But Catastor, I've been on 2 of this lately because of mainly the Amaryllis and the Machina decks becoming more popular. This is just a great answer to Fortress. It's a great answer to Titanial. And generally, those decks, they can out one of them, but it comes a little bit harder to out the second one. So if you can stick that second one, it can be really powerful in the late game. Bryonic, of course. Goyo, of course. I played Urquisis. Just because, like the Amaryllis deck, if they like just start dropping Amaryllis, you just go into this guy and then you kind of speed him up. They have to out him. Because they can't just bring back Amaryllis because you're cracking them for like 3 times as what they're burning you for. So it's good. And then, certain random times it can come up. I never made them this weekend, but like I said, in testing, I made them, and you kind of have to have them. In my opinion, Stardust, just because it's like the generic level 8. I don't know. I don't run Road in here, but I just didn't think anything was better than this. I did actually make this weekend with 2 Gilmans and a Diva, so I was glad I had it because it was very good that time. And then Mistworm, just because if you have a guy on board, like an Alias, Stratos, whatever, and you drop Diva into Gilman, you can make this. And I did make this weekend. My opponent had me dupe blocked, and I made this and bounced them all back, and that broke the dupe block, and I ended up winning that game.
Very nice.
So
and probably just one of your harder matchups, so very good.
Yeah. So
to have that.
I mean, I don't run Black Rose just because the only way you could make it really would be like when you side in Cyber Dragon. And I only side deck in Cyber Dragon against like Mirror Match or Machina. So I just didn't really, I thought like everything else would come up more. And there was never a time, I never side decked Cyber Dragon in this weekend anyway. So it never came up. So I probably wouldn't change anything in the extra for this, like right now. Side deck 2 Fossils. This is like the best card against Frogs. It's very powerful. You just, you basically, you wait until they use all their removal and stuff and then drop him in the late game, and it becomes really hard for them to deal with this. 2 Cyber Dragon, again, mostly just for Mirror Match and the Machina deck. I have like experimented with one of this. It's just, I think the Machina deck is a hard matchup, so I didn't want to like cut this in case I ran into it. I thought it might be a little bit more popular this weekend, so yeah, like I said, never sided them in, but they were there, and I was glad. Kaiku, I didn't play any Vayu or Zombies, so he never came in. But actually, no, he did come in because I played 2 Lightsworn. Excuse me. And I just think this guy is kind of nuts. Like at Vegas, I went 6-1 in Vegas with this same 40 card list. This was a little bit different, but the same 40 main deck. And this card, I played 3 Zombies and a Vayu at Vegas. I won all those matches, and this guy was just putting in so much work. He's so cracked when you summon him. Obviously if you attack and get his effect off, that's insane. But just the effect to negate, like the Imperial Iron Wall effect, is really busted against Vayu and Zombies. They can't, Necro Gardener. They can't do their Vayu. They can't Mizuki. It's very, very powerful. So I like Kaiku a lot. Mole. I wanted to main deck this card because I think it's like the best card against Vayu, and it's just main
decked it last year.
Yeah, I main decked it last year, but I just moved it to the side because I just didn't have any. There was not a card in the main that I really wanted to cut for it, and I wanted to be on 3 Upstart, not 2. So I put him in the side. I never brought him in this weekend because I didn't run into any Vayu or Zombies, which are the 2 main decks that I generally put it in for. But I would just not cut this card. I think this card's like one of the best cards in this format. 1 Snowman. I've almost cut this card, but it's just too good against like Heroes and Black Wings to cut. I like just the 1. I think more than that is a little, I don't know, because it's hard to convert in this deck. You don't run like Monarchs or anything. You really can only convert it with like Diva after it's flipped. So I think 1 is fine. Super Poly. I almost cut this card. I'm glad I didn't because it came up because I played a couple Frogs. But yeah, Super Poly, just mainly just for the Frog matchup. I don't bring it, or if I play like something like Mirror Match, I'll bring it in. Against the Diva, like a True Heroes Diva Hero deck, I generally don't bring it in, just because I think it's iffy in that version of that matchup. But against Frogs, it breaks Dupe Block, and like it can be very powerful. If they're playing the Hero Frogs, you can hit both of their guys for 0 sometimes. So I was glad I had it. Vortex is mainly just for Lightsworn and Dragons, and Fairies too. I played 2 Lightsworn, so I was glad I had it. So yeah, Vortex. I mean, I think everyone's like on this almost. It's very standard. 2 Shadowmere. I never brought these in. I played these at Indy last year. I wasn't like honestly crazy about them then, but I think in the Vayu matchup, Vayu is an interesting matchup. I know like Eric Shen thinks it's like highly favored Vayu. I think it's more like 50-50, really depending on like openings and who goes first and whatnot. But that deck does have like a lot more gas than this deck does. So I wanted to like run like the most impressive card against it. Generally, I do kind of like Knock a little bit better, but Knock is kind of mid. I mean, and it's only really good early game. Whereas this card, if they don't have anything to out it, or if you have 2 of it, it can just solo Vayu basically. And it's also good against like Zombies, and I mean, I wouldn't put it against pure Black Wings because they can play through Skill Drain basically. But I mean, any sort of dark centric deck, you can consider putting this in generally. So 2 Pullings. Probably like this card. I played a bunch of Frogs this weekend, so I side decked in these quite a bit. It's very, very powerful against Frogs. I played against the Diva Hero deck, a True Heroes deck, and I side decked it in. Mirror Match, brought it in. Well, I guess Actually, no, I played the Crystal Seer version of the Hero Beat deck, so I did not side deck that in because they're not on Diva, and you can really only hit Alias.
Is that James Frazier?
No, it was.
else?
Well, actually, I'm not sure the kid's name. Honestly,
Okay.
it was round 1.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this is like a staple almost, I would say. And then 2 Dusts. Yeah, just basically just for like Black Wings, Mirror Match. I never played Mirror Match. I think I only side decked this in once this weekend, and it was against you. I'm trying to think. I side decked this in against the Crystal Seer Hero Beat deck too. But yeah, I mean, Dust, it's kind of a staple. It's a safe pick. You know, the one thing about like, Edison is it's so versatile that you kind of want to run the safe cards. Like you could say they all have like every deck and every card, so to speak, has a hole in it in this format. So because it's inconsistent or it has a weakness, but you kind of want to run just like the best general cards, you know. And Dust is pretty solid. If you take it to a big tournament, you're probably going to side deck these in a couple times. So, yeah, that's the list. It's, like I said, it's very streamlined. It's not a secret. I mean, everyone kind of knows this deck. But so yeah, nothing super fancy. One thing I probably just like, I guess cards I wish I did have. I wish I had Starlight Road in the side deck, and I was kind of tossing this together, to be honest. Like the main deck was set, and this extra too, but the side was kind of tossed together. Like not tossed together. I mean, there was a lot of it was set, but the last couple cards on the side were kind of like, okay, I need to get my deck list in. Here's what it is. So I wish I had Starlight Road because I played 2 Lightsworn, and that's a really scary matchup with JD. So I would have liked Starlight Road, but I mean, also they've put in Decree too, so it's kind of like, you know, how good would it even have been potentially? But that's one card I wish I would have had. Other than that, I don't know if I really wish I would have had anything else. I mean, everything else is pretty solid, I would think. Other than that, I'm not sure what I would cut in the side for the Starlight Road, but I'd probably put that maybe like 1 Cyber Dragon for the Starlight Road. But yeah, no, that's the 55 cards with the extra. Yeah, if you want to get into some questions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's already been a long profile.
Oh,
I
yeah,
really
so
appreciate all the information. It was a really good information.
No,
from
yeah,
one of the
sorry, we went
best-
a
one
little
of-
bit longer
no,
than.
It was worth it. This guy is one of the best Edison, not just like Hero Beat players, but one of the best Edison players.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I know one thing that you mentioned was this was the same 40 main deck as YCS Vegas.
Yeah.
I want to touch a bit on kind of something. Something happened at that event.
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to go a little bit into that and
Well, yeah. So I went 6-1 at Vegas. Unfortunately, my team, we did lose on the bubble, and we ended up getting 12th place, which it was unfortunate. That was pretty, soul crushing. And obviously, to lose on the bubble sucks. I mean, no one likes that. But then I came back for day 2, and I was watching top 8, and my backpack was like completely stuffed full, crammed, because I flew Spirits and I didn't have a check bag or anything like that. So I had all my clothes and all that garbage, and apparently it was so stuffed that the zippers kind of came undone on top, and my deck box was sitting on top, and someone janked my deck box, and stole my deck, which sucked. I mean, honestly, I was more heard about the deck box. I had the nice the Ninja Girl double deck box from all those years ago. The deck was the Hero Beat deck, and it was like all common anyway, so it was like the deck was like not worth that much, but I was sad about the deck box. So yeah, got my lost on the bubble, got my shit stolen, so that sucked. So I was like very motivated to come and top this, to be completely honest, especially because I got second last year. I wanted to, and I feel like everyone's kind of trashing on Hero Beats, and honestly I was too. I wasn't going to play this deck at first. I was going to play Bayou, but then I kind of thought about it, and I was like, I got to play what took me to the dance, so to speak, and Bayou is very powerful, and I think it might be the best deck, but I think, Edison, first of all, it's a retro format, and you should play what you like and what you have fun with. I think that is like obviously this is a competitive tournament, but I do think, this isn't, the main event or anything like that. You should have fun with it. And also, like I said, I just had a chip on my shoulder with this deck. I wanted to prove it was good. I mean, Shen called it Garbo, and I don't know, I was kind of like, okay, it's got no respect on it. So I had to come and show him that, Hero Beat still is good. You gotta put some respect. You gotta like, you know, put some respect on it. I think I was like the only dude on this deck in this entire tournament, other than the kid I played. I mean, but he was on the Seer version. He played Diva, which I don't think the Seer version is as good. So I think I was like the only dude on this deck in this entire tournament. So, and I got top 8 out of like 198 people. So the deck is obviously good. It does brick, but every deck in this format bricks. You know, that's the thing. So. Yeah, you know, like I said, I was super motivated to top with everything that happened at Vegas, and I was, you know, it sucks to lose in top 8, but I mean, I lost to Fraser. He's very good, and you know, just being able to get that second time Wizard top is pretty nice. So, yeah. I guess we want to talk about matchups a little bit, or I don't know what kind of questions you had. I know it's already running
not too much
long.
about matchups, but I know there was a couple of very important rounds.
Yeah.
One of them that was really, really close, cutting it into time.
Yeah.
What happened there?
So I was playing my boy Kenny in round 6, I want to say. Yeah, round 6. And he was on just pure Frog Monarch, no heroes. Game 2, he like lads me and I out it, and then he drops a second lad, and I had, you know, I took so much to deal with lad that it was hard. Game 2, I ground him out and beat him, and then game 3, he opened 1-for-1 Dandy into substitute into like the dupe block and everything. So I was like really nervous because obviously dupe block is a very hard thing to break in this deck. I think the frog matchup is like pretty easy, honestly, except for dupe. Yeah, so basically makes dupe block. Eventually, I mean, I end up going like summoning Stratos and passing because I'm like, I have Diva in my hand, and I'm like, well, basically if he has a Monarch, I lose. If he doesn't, I can like Diva into Gilman, Mistworm, bounce all his stuff. So he ends up like making like, he ends up like unifrogging, attacking direct, and like passing, and then I go like, I do the exact same play, bounce the Treeborn and both the dupes, run over unifrog. So then it becomes kind of a grind at that point. And eventually gets down to the point where it's like, I've got 0 and he has reestablished dupe block on me. And basically it's coming down to time, and it gets down to where we're both passing, and it's my turn and there's 10 seconds left, and I basically know I have to either draw Miracle or Super Poly, and I ripped Super Poly, and I Super Poly'd, pitched, whatever, Super Poly my Ab-Zero with his dupe, made another Ab-Zero wiped his board, battle phase, and attacked to put him under what I was at, and that was game. And it was obviously I'd never won on like a Yu-Gi-Oh buzzer beater before, so that was pretty cool. And you know, we were the last match, so everybody was watching, and it was obviously a pretty lit ending to a game. Obviously, I mean, you know, you couldn't, it'd be like a script almost. So it was, you know, and Kenny, you know, I knocked him out of the last one, so I think he was a little, you know, he's a little hurt, and you know, we were cool. We ended up going out to dinner later, but he was a little hurt at the time. There's some words exchanged, and it was like that good old school, you know, shit talking Yu-Gi-Oh, you know. So it was fun, you know, it was fun. And then, so that was probably, you know, obviously I was X1 at that point already, so you know, I needed to, you know, I was on the verge of elimination right there, and then against you in
that's
round.
the other thing.
Yeah, against you in round.
You and me played the very last round.
Yeah, you and me played.
It had to happen. It
I know.
had to be this way. To be honest, I'm so happy it was you, because your story is a lot better than mine. With that other previous round, like.
Yeah,
like,
no, I mean,
it was really good. So yeah, you want to go into like what happened in our match?
Yeah, our match. So like game 1 was pretty quick. I won. Game 2, you had oppression and I had dust, but you had the dark bribe to out the dust, and I just couldn't deal with oppression. And then I want to say you like ended up storming, and then like Blizzard Dad or something like that. Dad came out and it was game basically.
Yeah.
And then game 3, you were definitely literally about to beat me. I had like Dead Dust Shoot and Dust Tornado set. With like my hand was like heavy, Miracle, and double Spark. So my Miracle and double Spark were all dead, and I ripped Rhoda.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah,
so
I was like reading that. I'm like, oh my god, he doesn't have a hero. Like,
yeah,
I just have to like.
So I mean,
hope
obviously.
he doesn't draw it. Like,
yeah.
I had you like under like.
No, I mean,
below
well,
free
obviously.
control range too.
No, yeah, I mean,
like,
no, I mean, literally, if I didn't draw, I mean, getting into Alias or Rhoda, which was Alias, right then was like the perfect.
Yeah.
and it was just the.
Yes,
I mean,
that
I
was
went.
another very crazy
Yeah,
game
yeah. I mean, I
where
went Storm, you Solemn, and I had the Dust Tornado for the next one, and then you had Armor Master and Sure, I believe, and I just went Alias, Sparked Armor Master, draw Miracle into Ab Zero, run over Shura, and I just had to pray that, you know, I knew that you didn't have Glued in your hand because you would have obviously just pitched it for game the turn before when you attacked. So I knew I was just like, you know, if he draws Brain, he wins. If he draws Blizzard, the game continues for a couple more turns. You put me at 100 and the game would go for however many more turns. But thankfully, you know, you didn't draw those two cards, and I got it. So that was a really intense match. So yeah, I mean, I was staring down the edge of the abyss twice this tournament, and you know, I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, if you to top a tournament like this with a lot of good people and it's top 8 and it's 200 people, you have to get lucky. I mean, that's part of it. You can have a good deck, you can play well, but variance has to be on your side, and sometimes you just have to sack people, like literally. Like, I mean, that's just how. I mean, my loss honestly was when I got sacked. So it's like the game giveth and the game taketh away. You know what I'm saying? That's just part of it. If you want to play a completely skill-intensive game, go play chess, I would say. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely was a really tight tournament. You know, if a couple things go differently, I don't get the top, but, you know, Lady Luck was... I had some good karma, I think, you know. With everything that happened at Vegas, I think I had some good karma coming my way, and it paid off. And I'm glad I got the top. This is the second one. I played in 2 of the... Well, I guess 3 technically, but 2 single-person ones, and I've topped both, so it's nice. And yeah, I represented my favorite deck, which is cool, I guess. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's it, unless you have anything else.
No, that's it. Any shout-outs?
Shout out to Emporium TCG and all the dudes from Emporium TCG. I mean, you guys all know who you are. You know, obviously Hector, Shen, all the Asians, you know, Dame and Sam for running the shop. Everybody, you know, I'm leaving out guy Lucas, Sam, Zach, all those guys. Shout out to the Northwest Indiana boys too, my hometown, supporting me and everything. Shout out to the guy who stole my deck at Vegas. You know, I like when we get, you know, how you like used to be, you know, where people would steal decks and there's shit talking games and stuff. So that was nice, getting my deck stolen for sure. I hope you're enjoying the deck box, bro. I hope it was worth it. Piece of shit. No, yeah, shout out to I don't know, shout out to my ex-girlfriend for supporting me. She said I texted her last night that I topped, and she said keep an eye on the prize and your stuff. I thought that was a good one. She kind of cooked me, but yeah, no, shout out to everybody that deserves a shout out from me gets a shout out. You know who you are. So yeah, no, thanks for the profile, man. I appreciate it, and yeah, I think that's it.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.